Okay, let's begin. Welcome back to the Female Main Character podcast where book chat meets the girls chat. I'm Maria.
I'm Charlotte.
And this week we're going to talk all about book 1 in the Throne of Glass series, Throne of Glass. Anyway, what have you
the
been...
first book of Throne of Glass.
That sounded so stupid, but we're going to definitely leave that in. Anyway, what have you been up to, Charlotte? I feel like I've not seen you in forever, honestly.
Yeah. I've been super unwell for the past, it's been like a week. Started last Wednesday. So we've not really spoken, have we? I've not read anything, not done anything. I've just been asleep, dead.
No, we've texted a lot. We WhatsApp every single day, but...
Yeah, but nothing literally it's I'm dying. No, I think I'm actually dying. Not to be dramatic, but I think I'm dying.
No, you were sending me some of the most dramatic texts I've ever received. I was literally and I had all my family here. I was juggling children. And I was she's coughing up blood. I was is anyone with this person? What is going on?
I genuinely, I was talking to someone at work today and I was just I've never been that unwell in my life, ever. And I was just it felt obviously there's a quademic at the minute where it's COVID, RSV, norovirus, and I think just the normal flu. And I was I think I must have had 3 or 4 at the same time. Because I literally had the symptoms of 3 things just all at once.
Yeah.
And everyone was just I don't know what's wrong with you. And then obviously I'm bad with throwing up is just not, for me, it's just not good.
No, I cry every time I throw up.
Yeah,
every
I
time.
panic. I'm I'm going to die. Yeah. I'm going to choke and die. I don't know how, one of the things I kept thinking was just, how did they do it? If back in the day with no, I would have died. I would be dead.
Oh God, that's really funny. Well, they did die, I guess. No, literally, is the answer.
Yeah. I was I've got the Black Plague. It's so bad.
I literally said at one point you were that picture of that dead Victorian lady, lying on the bed.
That's honestly how it felt, but it feels like I've only been unwell for a day because most of it I was just sleeping. I just literally.
That's good though.
The first day I came home from work, just slept. Literally came home from work. I think I had a bath because I obviously just thought, oh, I've got the flu. At that point I was I've got the flu. My throat was so sore. And then I was I'm going to sleep it off. And then, just woke up.
Went downhill.
Yeah, just kept getting worse and worse.
Did you read anything, listen to anything while you were sick?
No, I've been watching K-dramas.
You're back in the swing of the K-dramas.
Yeah, it's quite nice though because I feel because I had a bit of a break, I was keeping up with the big ones for the past 6 months. But I kind of wasn't into it. I feel when you have loads of time on your hands and you can just fully, I don't know, immerse yourself into it, it's so much more fun. And so I've watched 3 different K-dramas in a week because I just put them on. But, to be fair, one of them I've watched it 3 times. It's one of my favourites. But
have you not picked up because you started reading When the Moon Hatched, didn't you? Have you not been picking that up then?
No, I started it and then I kept starting it and trying to make notes on it, but then I don't know. There's a few things just literally on the first page of that book where I'm just, what? Basically, it begins with kind of a story of how the world began, and it's these gods are creating the world. And there's oh my God, I can't remember. It's the god of the earth is called Boulder. And for me, that's just too on the nose. Boulder.
We're a big...
Shut the fuck up. I was just what is this? I can't remember. There is a god of water as well, and it's called something really funny. It's just really, I don't know. Could you not have just been a little bit more creative?
I'm sure that was the complaint for, 'cause I've watched quite a few people who read Lightlark, and I'm sure that was the complaint about Lightlark as well, that all the people really? In that were just named really silly things. It was it felt like it was a stand-in.
This is it, sorry. Boulder, god of ground, Rain, Rayne, God of water, goddess of water. I was just like, for God's sake, like, could we have not? I don't know.
Yeah, like, was there 100 million edits? Couldn't someone have just mentioned, should we just maybe make that as not on the nose?
Just come up with a few options. But yeah, I'm just not. I don't know. I don't know what it is. I don't feel like I can get into it. Um, yeah.
Maybe it wasn't the right book for you at the minute either then, because you've
I
been
I
poorly.
I do think that's part of it. I genuinely don't feel like I could have read anything. Like the
Mm,
stuff that I've watched, I've not watched. I've just had it on.
yeah,
Like it's just been playing.
in the
Because I've
background.
just been, yeah, I've just been just literally lying there.
Victorian
And
lady.
yeah, to be fair, like one of the things that I got conjunctivitis as well, so my eyes have been really painful,
Oh
like
no.
so red. So I've just literally not wanted to, like, why would I want to read anything? I've not even wanted to like look at my phone or
Yeah, your
anything.
eyes haven't been open, never mind open and reading something.
Yeah, exactly. Have you read anything? Have you
I've read
read any
so much.
more?
I'm
Or?
like fully back into the swing of it now.
Mm.
I picked up so I'm meant to be reading Air of Fire, which I think I've been talking about every single episode we filmed. I've been talking about how I'm meant to be reading Air of Fire. I'm
Mm.
crawling through that. I am getting a little bit further along, but I thought I was in that space where you're just like, I need to pick up something else and push through something that's fast paced and is gonna grab me for a bit. So I started following an author on Instagram called Alexandra Bracken, and she wrote Lore, which is I don't actually know what it's pitched as, but it's modern day New York City, and it felt like the Percy Jackson movies. If anyone's ever watched
Oh.
them, is there just one of them or two? I can only remember one, but it was that kind of feeling of suddenly realizing that you are part of the Greek god dynasty.
Yeah, they made a
Apart from,
series as well, right?
yeah, it's massive. I think Percy Jackson's one of the highest grossing YA fantasy series of all time. I mean, that could be completely wrong, but I'm pretty certain it is.
Yeah, more than likely, yeah. I feel like
Um,
it's so popular.
yeah, and everyone loves a good Greek retelling, don't we?
Hmm.
So it was so good. It kind of had that she knew who she was, but she just didn't want to be involved. That was the vibe of Lore, rather than.
Mm.
So it wasn't like she's a chosen one or um, any of those things that I've been talking about. That I don't think I can read another story that follows the exact same structure for a
Mm.
while. It was really nice that this was kind of a little bit outside of that norm.
Mm.
Um,
I once read a webtoon actually. It was called Lore Olympus, um, and that was really, really good. Like similar thing, just a retelling.
yeah,
You might like that.
it wasn't a retelling though. I was trying to Google it after I read it to work out if it was something that I just don't know where it came from. I kind of don't want to ruin it. I guess it's not ruining it. So the premise of the story is that all the I'm gonna butcher this. There's like families who are descended from the gods, um, and they can for a week for 7 days every 7 years. The gods walk as people, some like game to entertain Zeus or something. And if you kill one of the gods during that time, you get their powers. So all these houses, these dynasties, try to kill the gods every 7 years for that week. And then if you kill one of the new gods, you get the powers, and it just rolls on like that forever. So all the houses want to have like the power, the most glory, whatever. I've never heard of that before. That's
No, that's
so
really interesting.
it felt really good. It was really fresh and really new, and kind of had that really good pace that when you watch something that's like a treasure hunt movie, you know,
Yeah,
like where it's got a really quick pace.
yeah. Mm.
So yeah, I flew through that. Then I've picked up A Court of Silver Flames, which is
Oh yeah.
exciting. Finally. So our book club's now in A Court of Silver Flames. We're all reading it, sort of.
Mm.
Uh,
Most of us are.
um, Oh, I can't even. I think it needs this whole separate
Yeah,
video, A Court of Silver Flames. We should have the book club girlies on an episode to do A Court of Silver Flames. It would be
I
so
think
fun.
so. I'm desperate for Bridie to read that book just because.
She's a Cassian
So,
lover.
yeah, for context, she loves Cassian, and I'm just like, you need to read this. You need to understand.
I
But yeah.
I actually really like Cassian, to be fair.
Yeah, yeah.
Reading
It's
this
one of
book,
those.
he
I
feels different to everyone else.
Yeah, but don't you feel like that with every? Well, I won't say every Sarah J Maas book because I've not read every Sarah J Maas book. But it's like the first book of Agatha where you're just like, why are you not more interested in Lucian? He seems like I don't even know, way more likable than the main
Mm,
characters. And I always feel like that. I know maybe it's just that we're getting to know Cassian more in that book. I just feel like he's the only one who seems a little bit normal, or he's
mm.
got his
That he
head
actually
screwed
has
on.
500 years of life behind him. The rest of them
Yeah,
are out
like
here acting like toddlers.
yeah.
Oh, that book. I actually can't believe some of the stuff happening in this novel. And
He was off unhinged in that book. Like
Sarah J Maas must be so fucking horny writing Court of Silver Flames because I am I'm 30 years old and I'm actually appalled at some of the bits I'm reading. I'm like, wait, what? What?
I'm not old enough for this.
I feel like it's illegal to be reading. I don't know how to put pen to paper on some of it. And some of it goes on
Yeah.
for so long. I think that's the problem. There was one sex scene that I've been listening to the audiobook and I had to, like, Charlotte was texting me as a really filthy audiobook scene was playing out. And I was like,
Stop.
just stop texting me for 2 minutes until I paused this book. I couldn't find, I had like it playing on the TV, like through the TV, and I couldn't figure out how to stop the sound. I was running around the living room, like trying to find a remote, trying to turn it down. Stop talking to me.
It's definitely one of those where if someone overheard what you were listening to,
Oh
you'd be
God, I'd die.
embarrassed. You'd be
Oh,
like,
I'd
oh my
die.
God, no. Yeah,
I
it just doesn't
genuinely would
feel
die.
right.
It is the worst yet. Like it's got to be the spiciest one yet.
Yeah, it's like she just cranked it up for some reason. I don't know why Nesta is the fucking kink master of.
No, she really is. And it's all about how they both like it rough. And that is emphasized constantly. Like, give
Yeah.
it a break.
Make it
So,
stop.
but I don't even think I'm halfway through that, and it already feels like it's way too long. I
Yeah.
couldn't even tell you what bit I'm at.
Like, obviously, it's a long time since I've read it, but at the same time, I'm just like, what even fucking happens in that book? Like,
Everything.
I'm
I've
like,
got
she
about
climbs some
16.
stairs, she has some sex,
Oh, the
and
stairs. You get about 25 info dumps from Race.
yeah.
Just give it a break. He's like, in The Witcher, the guy that walks around the towns telling the stories, the bard. Every they'll be figuring something out, and then Reese will pop in and go, "Oh, do you know this bit of lore?" And he'll sing a merry tune about it, and I'm like, "Oh my God, I'm sick to death of you popping in with an info dump. Leave it be."
He just drops
So.
some lore in the form of like a riddle, like mid. Everyone's like having a serious conversation.
Is
That's too funny.
the decisions being made by Reese and Farah in that book as well. I don't compute. It's two different people.
Yeah, there's a lot of I don't even know. I feel like they feel like different characters in that book for me because some of the decisions that they make, I'm just like, where the fuck did that come from? Like,
Big time.
but yeah, we'll
Anyway,
definitely get into that a lot more because I think there's so much to unpack once you guys have read that whole book. Um,
agreed.
lots of questions to go through.
So should we talk about Throne of Glass today?
Yes, we're gonna
Let's
go
do it.
through.
So let's start, I think, by talking about when did you read Throne of Glass? Oh, you've got the book. She's holding up the book for
Yes.
any of the audio only listeners can't see that.
You can't see this. I read it pretty much straight after Act It was, wasn't it? I was like, I need I need more. I think I do really like the way Sarah J Maas writes. I think it's really easy to read.
Yeah, agreed.
Although I've got my issues in general with some of the things. But for me, Throne of Glass, as soon as I started reading it, I was like, this feels like a completely different series. And I think she wrote it when she was like teen, right? She was real young.
Yeah, I think I was just looking this up. I think most of the websites say that she started this when she was 16.
Yeah, 16. Wow. I think that's crazy. Like, just the concept of this first book, I think, is crazy to think up as a 16-year-old.
Yeah, I guess though yeah, yeah. I think a lot of people our age were writing fanfic and stuff though on Tumblr at like 16. So I don't think it's out of the
Yeah, I know what you're saying, but also I don't feel like I got purchased by One Direction. Is this quite the same level as this? Do you remember that? Did you ever read fanfics? Or... I remember some
what?
crazy
What?
I was never into One Direction.
I can't believe you just pulled that out of the bag like it was the most
You've never
normal
heard of
thing
that?
to
Oh
say.
my God. Yeah, there was like a
I really
fanfic
hope we
where
found the right listener base of people because if
what
spitting
the
out nuggets like that is only
hell?
going to be like a really specific group of people that know exactly what we're talking about.
So funny. I find I've never gotten into fanfic where I'm like, oh my God,
No,
yes, I love this. I've read a lot of fanfic purely because I think it's hilarious.
me too.
I find it so interesting.
Yeah.
And like as a fangirl, I won't read fanfic that's dead serious about a lot of the idols that I follow just because I think it's a little bit exploitative and I don't know, there's some things about like fan culture where it's like when you have a group of men and you're like shipping them being intimate with each other and shit like that. I'm just kind of like, you're weird. Like I don't think like I'd find that weird if someone was like writing a fanfic about us being together. I'd be like, you're insane. Like don't do
Yeah,
that. I don't like
it's
that.
crazy the boundaries people cross when someone has a certain level of fame. I
Yeah.
still find it absolutely bizarre that Amazon has produced like 5 Harry Style fanfics into films, like it's a
Yes.
completely normal medium to adopt into a movie. I think if anything, it's kind of a little bit out of order.
Yeah.
Um,
Have you
it
seen
crosses a
the?
bit of a murky line, doesn't it? Fanfic.
I think so. I think so. I've watched, what was the recent one? Is it about Harry Styles, that recent one with
Anne Hathaway.
Anne Hathaway? I watched that.
Yeah.
And if you'd have not told me it was supposed to be about Harry Styles, I might have enjoyed it. But I
I
just thought it
think you
was
would have
strange.
thought immediately though.
Yeah, yeah, I would have been like, who is this about? Who is this
Yeah,
supposed to
yeah.
be?
Within like 20 minutes, definitely at the bit where they're performing on stage. That was
Yes.
that was choreographed off the back of a One Direction concert for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. I've got a lot of issues with like, I don't know, fan culture and ugh, what is it
Oh, we've not
called?
even talked about the most insane fanfic that we discovered today.
Which one?
So a bit of context this week. This week there's been quite a how do I even put this? This week, one of the United Healthcare CEOs was
Oh,
assassinated, and the internet has lost its mind. And me and Charlotte are on the side of TikTok where people are comparing this assassin to Rysand, to all their favorite book boyfriends.
I'm literally going insane. I'm like scrolling and watching my usual like cat videos of influencers doing their makeup tutorials, and then it's like, has anyone seen how hot this fucking killer is? And I'm like, oh,
On that
wait,
vigilante shit.
yeah, like
Anyway,
what?
Charlotte came across a TikTok today that was someone writing fanfic for an assassination that happened a week ago. Fanfic is honestly a different realm. I don't know if it's from this world. It's just bizarre how quick these people are on the fanfic.
this is one fanfic that I might read because I just like I need to know like what moves
Yeah,
on
the
to.
reviews were so funny. I've got to read some of them. There was like 20 different ones already as well on AO3, wasn't there?
Yeah, yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, but I don't know how do we go off on these
Because we were
tangents
talking
every
about people
time?
our age writing fanfic, weren't we?
Yes,
But like
yeah,
some really prominent authors that I follow, like Eliza Clark, who's winning all those awards, is our age from Newcastle in the UK, and she said that she wrote fanfic all throughout her teenage years.
yeah. Have you seen the Manacled fanfic, which is about Hermione and Draco
Yeah,
Malfoy?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
They're now producing that as an actual novel, like it's being
But you
published.
can't. Oh, but they're just going to readopt it and make it different people in the same kind of setting.
I'm not sure. So she's called Senlin Yu, and I saw her post on Instagram, like all of her, God, can't think of words, um, that she was rewriting it. But yeah, I'm not sure. Maybe we need to do a whole episode on like fanfics and the law. But yeah, as far as I can see, it's being published.
Wow.
Craziness.
Mm.
Crazy.
Yeah,
But
so
yes,
some people were writing fanfic. Sarah J Maas was spitting out an eight novel epic.
madness.
So
Yeah.
I think the first book does feel quite standalone though. It could have ended there.
Yes. Yeah, yeah. I think the first book for me feels so different to the rest of the series. But I did enjoy every single one.
Mm-hmm.
So the beginning of this book is Selena Sarathian. She's an assassin and she's summoned to a castle where she's to be the king's assassin, and she basically has to fight through all of these challenges to become the king's champion. Sorry. Um, and I think, gosh, it was such a long time ago now I read it, but I think when I first started reading this, I was so interested in like the mystery of it and like the word keys and like who the fuck's killing everyone in this castle, like,
Mm. Is that this
and it,
one?
yeah,
Yeah,
that's the
yeah,
first
yeah.
one.
I think we should just let everyone know from this point forward. There's probably going to be some thrown a glass spoilers if you hadn't
I was just
figured
gonna
that out.
say,
If you haven't figured that out by now, but yeah, the first one is so easy to get into, wasn't it? Because
yeah,
she gets brought from that camp and she's really young already, and you're kind of really invested as to why was she actually in this camp. She was in a slave camp, um, and she gets brought. I mean, the premise of this story is pretty stupid because why is this king holding a trial with like all these kids to make one of them his assassin? Is that going to
mm,
get an answer? I don't know because I'm only in the third book, but that feels a little bit um a bit of a waste of time. I'm going to say, especially because you learn throughout the books that he's like got some kind of dark magic. So doesn't he have? If he just spent his effort somewhere else, couldn't he just be producing different kinds of armies?
mm,
So the
mm.
whole assassin thing feels a little bit silly.
Yeah. I think it's like she's a weapon essentially, and that's his. He's collecting weapons, isn't he? He's kind of
Why would he kill all the other people then? In the
like who?
in the all the other potential assassins? Why wouldn't he just have them all? Surely
Because
they'd all do it. Like just make yourself an eight assassin pack little army. Why would you
yeah,
challenge
like
them
what is
against
the
each other?
point? And yeah,
There is no point. It's just to
I'm trying to
set
think.
up Lena's story, really.
The whole first book pointless.
Sorry, sorry. You look like someone who's just been hit over the head with a hammer, and you're just like,
I know. I think yeah. What the fuck? Why? Why would the king be the champion? I'm just googling it now because I'm like I need to know why.
Anyway, it's the premise set up a nice little kind of challenge. You could put some stakes
Oh,
to it. Go on.
oh, there is a reason, but I can't tell you yet.
Yeah.
You'll find. I guess you'll find out. I mean, I feel like it's a pretty shitty fucking reason, I have to say.
Is
I
it
feel like
something
there's
that had
other
to be written
ways.
in because everyone was like, why?
No, I genuinely just feel like people are just making excuses at this point.
Mm. Yeah, I mean it's a really good story, honestly, and it's kind of
Yeah.
it's a good vibe. The first book, I think, when she's like, there's a bit of a love triangle, between the main character Selena, the king's son Dorian,
Dorian.
and hit the captain of the guard, which is also a 22-year-old for some bizarre reason, because captain of the guard is is often a 22-year-old man.
Hmm.
Um,
And that's what the king would do. He'd
yeah,
just have actual like young adults in charge
yeah,
of
yeah.
everything.
Yeah, because we're all
Um,
like really good at our jobs at 22.
yeah, but how would they be so attractive if they weren't 22, Maria? That's the question I posed to you.
Isn't doesn't she turn does she turn 18 during this book as well? Is her birthday in this book?
Gosh, I can't even remember that. Potentially, yeah, because I feel like she just doesn't she just not tell anyone about her birthday, and like Dorian's the only one who knows it's her birthday or something.
I don't know. Can't remember. There's a few things I remember really well about this book. So the first one is the whenever she's being brought from the slave camp to the castle, and
Uh-huh.
a little fairy pops up and leaves something on her camp bed.
Yeah, the little
This,
folk.
yeah, cute. The second is when she finds the tomb. Is that in this one? It is, right?
Oh, under the castle, sorry. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I remember that really well because that woman was annoying as shit. Like every time a
Helena.
ghost comes up with a prophecy, you're just like, you are
I remember,
just so frustrating.
I remember like, so while Maria's been reading this, I was like messaging her and being like, what do you think of Elena? I'm like, I need someone else to hate her as much as I fucking hate her because I'm just like, what was she doing? Like, what?
she, well, she
I know
tells
it's
her
a plot
she's
device, but
yeah, but
like, she just,
she tells her something of nothing all the time, and it's infuriating.
yeah, like just
Um,
tell me the full story and let me just like work
but
it
I love
out.
that. I love the visual of the tomb. It feels like as if you've ever watched the Da Vinci Code,
Mm.
where they finally find the tomb where Mary Magdalene was. It feels like
Yeah,
that
yeah.
kind of like you've unearthed some treasure. So I love that visual. And then the third thing I remember really well is when she randomly just got her period and made a whole massive deal out of having her period because it just felt so out of place that I was sat reading it thinking, I mean, yeah, like we get periods, but it just felt so bizarre in the novel. And
Yeah,
it
it's
like
just
that she
like,
needed to put it in there to just emphasize she's a girl.
what do you remember what your first impression was of Selena? Because when I first started reading it, I remember being like, God, she's fucking insufferable. First
I
few
think I said to
pages.
you that I really liked her.
Yeah, I think you did. But I remember reading it and I was just like, God, she's so annoying. But may I first started reading, so you can read Throne of Glass in like different order, and I started reading this Assassin's Blade and then decided not to read it and I skipped to this. But I remember just being like, why is she so up her own ass? Like, blah, blah, blah. And then I felt like by the end of it, I was like, oh, okay, I get it. Like, I get why she is the way she is, and I get that it's all just like, I'm big, brave Selena Sardathian, and I've been through a lot,
Yeah,
and it's just her.
I kind of liked her as a character. Um, it would be really interesting to see if they did ever adapt this novel for the screen because I think they will have to age her up
Yeah.
to start with because she's too young to for people to want to watch a series about a young girl. It's just not going to get an audience, is it? So they'll have to age up for that reason. And then also just like some of the shit that you're putting a young person through, you couldn't show a lot of the brutality that happens in this novel in a setting about a like 17-year-old or 18-year-old. I forget what she is in this book.
I think 17.
Yeah. You probably could have done that when the book was released because it came out in 2012, didn't it? Or 2010 maybe.
Mm-hmm.
And that was, back in the Twilight days, it was fine. Everyone was like, yeah, whatever. Whereas now we kind of are a bit more disbelieving that kids would actually react a certain way to these things.
But do you think that's just because we were closer to that age?
Oh yeah, it's definitely because we were closer to that age. But the way they make like movies and stuff now just means that they would never. I just don't think they would ever do it anymore, would they? They age up everyone now.
Yeah.
I'd feel a bit iffy watching this if they said it as a 17-year-old, I think.
Mm. The only thing I would say that I wouldn't say I didn't like, but I just feel like there's like a lack of like world building for this first book. Like you kind of segregated to just like the castle, and like you go from Endovia to the castle, and you just kind of stay there the whole time. I think like the interest is in the like little secret parts of the castle there, but that was my only thing, because it was like, especially when you start off and it's like she's going through the woods and she sees all the little folk, and I'm just like, I want to be there in the woods, like I don't want to go to this. But that's exactly how she feels too. She's like looking towards home and it's kind of like, I want to go home. I don't want to go and have to fucking fight 20 men for a week.
There was also, I think, when I read this, I really struggle when, and this is a problem in every Sarah J Maas book, but I really struggle when there's loads of characters, and there was just character after character after character. Whenever they went through all the people that were in the competition to be the assassin,
Yeah.
I don't remember any of those people. I remembered one of them, but I forgot his name now, and I was hoping he'd come back later on.
Knox.
Maybe.
I would guess so. I think he's supposed to be like the main. I feel like the only ones that you're supposed to remember are like Kane, who's the big bad guy,
Yeah.
and then Knox is like the one who she helps.
Doesn't she tell him to run away?
Yeah.
Which is also just ridiculous, because if he can run away, she could have definitely ran away.
She's the hero.
Yeah, but she did not need to. If she was telling him to go, she could have went. It was just a bit. It was just a bit convenient. The whole novel, I would say, on the whole. The second one, I've definitely thought was a lot better. The first one was just a little bit convenient. So one of the first things, whenever you finish Throne of Glass, so I remember Google it when I finished the book. It was only a couple of months ago now, I suppose. And everyone is talking about how it's like a Cinderella retelling. But I didn't get that at all.
No.
I don't get those vibes.
No, like not at all. Like I'm trying to think how.
You also will find loads of videos of people. I think I would recommend not reading any further, not watching any videos if you don't know anything about what's going to happen until like maybe the end of the second book, because it's because so many things change throughout the course of this story. You could so easily spoil what's coming as well.
I think another big topic that you see when you're starting the series is about Kale. Like people don't know whether to like love him or hate him in this first book.
Yeah.
I mean, I initially thought he was supposed to be like the main love interest when reading this book. Obviously, it changes backwards and forwards. But yeah, I think initially you're supposed to think he's like he's like standoffish. He like doesn't say anything for like a third of the book.
That's all those traits that we were talking about the other week of someone of the typical male main character who is
Yeah,
a bit ominous, a bit only speaks to her. It's in this book where he gives her the ring, isn't it? After one of the balls.
yeah.
I've really liked that relationship. I genuinely think that the relationships in the first two books were really good. As I say, I've only got like a third into the third one. But I liked how it built up Dorian. I liked how it built up Cole. I like how it built up Selena. I like how it built up Nehemia, is she called?
Mm-hmm.
She's in this one, right? Yeah.
Only a little bit in this one. You're
Oh,
just kind of introduced to her and Caltaine.
yeah. Yeah. So I think it was a little bit it read like a young adult novel more than if you've picked up ACOTAR and you're going to move from ACOTAR to Throne of Glass. This reads a
Yeah.
little bit more like a typical YA novel rather than how ACOTAR does feel a little bit older, I think, whenever you first read it.
Yeah, definitely. I just feel like the characters are a little bit easier to like in this
Oh
series.
god, yeah.
Um, I just it doesn't feel as painful to forgive people or I don't know, they just seem a little bit more human and maybe that is because they are human,
Mm,
but I just I don't know, I feel like I do just like the characters more
yeah.
and kind of understand them and their decisions because it's just like, well, that makes sense.
I could see how a lot of people would drop out after book one though, because if you need to be invested sort of in the background, if the story needs to make a lot of sense to you and you need to be able to see how that plays into something bigger, like a bigger political structure or a bigger fight for a throne, in this case, Throne of Glass, this doesn't really make any sense. Like the the whole 16-year-old being in this like the world's best assassin and having that whole repertoire behind her. She's only 16. How much could she have really done in that time? The the competition, I could just see how that would be really problematic for a lot of people who would pick this up and be like, what the fuck if I just what? There's so many loopholes in a story like that. That's why it feels a little bit like it's definitely more YA than ACOTAR. Whereas ACOTAR
Yeah,
feels a little bit
definitely.
tighter when you read it. It kind of makes more sense. It's easier to kind of believe in a sense.
Yeah, no, I see what you mean.
So pulling a dilemma of Throne of Glass, at the end of the novel, at the end of Throne of Glass, book one, Selena says that so throughout Throne of Glass, she's getting with Dorian, right? That's the main love interest in this novel.
Mm.
And at the end of it, she tells him that she can't be with him while she serves as the king's champion. Which again, something else that I just feel like personally makes no sense. Do do you think that that is the reason that because he says he wants to continue their relationship in secret. So what would you have done if you were in her shoes at the end of that? Because she just completely refuses. Could you work? Could you work? Could you work for a man and sleep with his son?
I feel like she's trying to protect Dorian with that though as well, because I just think the king just sounds like an absolute cunt. And obviously, I think if you've lied on, I don't know.
I think that if it was, I think if it was me, it just felt a little bit silly at the end of the book to me that she didn't want to be with Dorian because she was now the king's assassin. I mean, I've so many problems with her becoming the king's assassin. That just felt a little bit silly anyway. Um, but just tell him the truth. Is that really the reason you didn't want to be with him, or is that just like it's like when people give like excuses for stuff they just don't want to do anymore?
But I do
Just
think, like, if you see it, what she's saying, she says, I have enough secrets, I don't need another one. And I think that makes sense. Like,
why does it have to be a secret though?
well, if you think about who she is, actually is, it makes sense because if she was to get caught out, then Dorian would be implicated too.
Right.
And like, I think it's again this problem with like he's going to be king, and she knows that like I think you're supposed to think at that point it's like she knows at that point she's never going to be the queen. They're never going to get married, or because that's just not how it worked, is it? You don't just marry some assassin.
Yeah. It still just feels all a bit convenient. Convenient way to
Yeah.
end it.
Well, yeah, that's the plot, isn't it? It's like it would be too nice if it was like, yeah, let's get married and live in the castle together and like ride off into the distance on our horses.
Although I wish it could have ended like that for her.
Yeah, I
But then you
do.
wouldn't have the next 6 books, would you? So
Exactly. Honestly, I think that's why like you're like asking me these questions and I'm just like I don't know.
yeah,
I've
you
read
can't.
6 books since then. Like I
Yeah, you
don't
can't even remember it at all,
like.
can you?
Yeah, this Selena is just not the same. Like, well, it's literally not the same human being as the end. Like, it's just not. Like, this really does feel like a child the more I think about it. And the more I think about it, I'm like, if I was 17 and the prince wanted to hook up, I'd be like, I'm not sure about this.
Yeah, but if who she is, she would be like, hell yeah. Because
I
all she
guess
does is want to
she's.
swan about in dresses and be involved in like court engagements. I feel
Yeah, but she's got her other plans, hasn't she? Like, there is a reason why she wants to become the king's champion. And obviously, being the prince's bit on the side is just going to get in the way of that.
a bit on the side.
Like
So
she
in some,
essentially wants to kill the king. Like she's gonna kill that poor guy's father. Like that's where her like head is at.
oh well, get
Whatever.
get yours, get yours while you're doing it. Do you know? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, but I think she's starting to realize, oh, actually, Dorian's a nice person. He's a good guy. I don't want to
Mm,
hurt him.
yeah, maybe. Anyway, that's the first book. There's not a lot to say about it because obviously Charlotte can barely even remember it.
Yeah, and it like a lot happens, but it's like not a lot. Like
Yeah.
tiny. It's a magazine.
Would you? So you would recommend for people to read on, though, right? If anyone did feel like it was a bit stupid for some of the reasons I said, you would recommend they still read on the
Oh,
series.
100%. Yeah, I just think like by the end of it, I don't even think about that. Like it's just not. I don't know. I feel like in anything, like any film that you watch, I could sit there and be like, why would you do that? But it's for the plot, isn't it? Like it is the story. It's like
Do
we've
it
got
for
to
the
drive
plot,
it.
girlies. Okay, let's end it there. Charlotte's still poorly, so
My throat hurts.
throat hurts. We've got to let her recover.
This is the most
Um,
talking I've done for like a week.
we'll probably be back together this weekend, won't we?
Yes,
We can do,
sure.
and we can maybe get some Christmas pajamas and
Yeah, I put my Christmas tree yesterday.
I sing because we both have the same decoration from when we went to Hogwarts, aka not Hogwarts. What is it called?
I always call it Harry Potter World. It's
Yeah,
like the Warner Brothers Studios or
yeah,
whatever.
yeah,
But yeah.
yeah. We both have the same decoration. It's my favorite Christmas tree decoration. That.
Yeah, it's mine too. That one, and then the other one that I got is from the National History Museum, you know, the little dinosaur.
Oh. Yeah, you just froze a little bit then. I think that's our
Sorry.
cue.
Time to go.
Time to go. Okay, thank you all for watching or
Thank
listening.
you.
Hopefully that wasn't too much rambling about Throne of Glass, but basically to summarize all that, neither of us can remember it that well, and it's a bit silly when you look back on it. So,
Yeah.
peace and love.
Enjoy. Bye.
Have fun.